So, hello everyone. Welcome to your adaptive seated yoga practice. And my name is Bobbie, and I'm teaching, sharing this class from my home in the rural community of Half Moon Bay on the Sunshine Coast. And so, I thought today that I would begin the class by sharing a poem. And so I've become a little bit of a yoga geek in the last year or so. I've been a yoga geek for many years, but poetry. And so the poem I'd like to share with you is by Mary Oliver. And the one I chose today is called Song for Autumn. So in the deep fall, don't you imagine the leaves? Think how comfortable it will be to touch the earth instead of nothingness of air and endless freshets of wind. And don't you think the trees themselves, especially those with mossy, warm caves, begin to think of the birds that will come 6 a dozen to sleep inside their bodies? And don't you hear the goldenrod whispering goodbye, the everlasting being crowned with the first tuffets of snow? The pond vanishes and the white field over which the fox runs so quickly brings out its blue shadows. And the wind pumps its bellows, and at evening especially, the piled firewood shift a little, longing to be on its way. And so I'll read it one more time. Song for Autumn. In the deep fall, don't you imagine the leaves? Think how comfortable it will be to touch the earth instead of nothingness of air and the endless freshets of wind. And don't you think the trees themselves, especially those with mossy, warm caves, begin to think of the birds that will come, 6 a dozen, to sleep inside their bodies? And don't you hear the goldenrod whispering goodbye, the everlasting being crowned with the first tuffets of snow? The pond vanishes and the white field over which the fox runs so quickly brings out its blue shadows. And the wind pumps its bellows, and at evening especially, the piled firewood shifts a little, longing to be on its way. So let's begin by finding a comfortable seat. And so it's challenging for our nervous system to calm down if we're uncomfortable in our bodies. And then an invitation to ground through your feet. The center and ground through the soles of your feet. We want to keep our connection with Mother Nature, and we tend to start losing that. Root down through your sits bones, so maybe noticing where your bottom and your thighs are in contact with your seat. Energy moving in 2 directions. Lengthen from the tip of your tailbone all the way up through to the crown of your head. So you might imagine that you have a thread on top of your head and it's pulling you way up to the sky. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. Tuck your chin in slightly to release the back of your neck. And then as you're ready, reach your arm way up to the sky, some gentle movement. And then slowly float your arm down. So it might be that you imagine the movement. So imagination is powerful, reaching up sky. And slowly float your arm down. So let's explore adding a gentle breath to the movement. On inhale, reaching up, full length of your inhale. On exhale, float your arm down the full length of your exhale. It's as if on our inhale, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Somebody has a dog. On the exhale, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Release both arms down by your side. Then rest your hands on your thighs. And we'll begin the movement on the other side. So reaching your arm way up to the sky. Then slowly float your arm down. So gentle movement, reaching up, way up, up, up. And slowly float your arm down. Adding a gentle breath to our movement, breathing in, reach your arm up, full length of your inhale. On exhale, float your arm down the full length of your exhale. It's as if on our inhale, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end point. On exhale, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Release both arms down by your side or wherever feels comfortable for you. And this time, let's explore reaching both arms up to the sky. Fold your fingers in. Press into the palms of your hands. And together we can shout out, I am, I can, and I will. And because thankfully, none of us get through this wonderful life without help from friends, family, etc. We could shout out, we are, we can, and we will. And with a sigh of relief, slowly release your arms. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. Rest your hands on your thighs, palm up or down as desired. And maybe even taking a moment to notice which feels better for you, resting your palms face up, or does it feel better to rest your palms face down? So if you are feeling tired, an invitation to explore resting your palms face up, open to receive. If you are feeling restless, scattered, palms face down can help ground us. And then when you're ready, an invitation to begin to move your gaze downward. So moving away from the busyness in our minds and more towards our heart. Allowing our facial muscles to soften and release. Our jaws relaxed. And so from here, an invitation to place your hands on your yoga belly. And so our yoga belly is the area between our navel and our pubic bone, where it might be that you feel comfortable moving one hand up on your yoga belly, placing the other on the center of your chest. And then an invitation to bring a gentle awareness to your breath. And so it's actually easier for us to access our breath if we're reclined. And so if you have the ability to recline in your chair and you'd like to, go for it. Making sure your head and neck is supported. And so maybe noticing that on our inhales, things expand. On exhale, things contract. Notice, is your breath long? Is it smooth, or is your breath jagged? And so breathing in through your nose and out through your nose, or maybe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Or if it feels better for you, breathing in and out through your mouth. If you're congested, breathe in whatever way you can. And so I'd like to invite you to explore with me a simple breathing exercise. Simple, however, not easy. And so when you're ready, pardon me, that can help calm our nervous system. And so, and begin to deepen your inhale, lengthen your exhale. And then see if you can begin to smooth out your breath. So that your inhales and your exhales flow easily into each other. At any point, if you notice your mind gets distracted and wants to wander off, know that that's okay. That's the nature of our mind. Simply bring your awareness back to your breath. And now see if you can bring a quality of softness to your breath. So you might imagine that you're petting your favorite animal friend. Or it might be that you imagine you just tasted something delicious. And see if you can bring that same softness to areas of your body that you feel are too tight or knotted. And so our breath is long and smooth and soft as we breathe in and as we breathe out. And just for a few more breaths, or as long as it feels comfortable, I'd like to invite you to keep this simple breathing exercise going. And so, Lynn, I'm curious how it would feel for you to maybe recline in your chair a little bit, or have your yoga buddy place their hand on the side of your head and help you release some of the tension in your neck. So head and neck supported. And so at any point, if you notice your mind gets distracted and wants to wander off, as often it will, bring a gentle awareness to the sounds around you. Thank you, Julie. And so I can hear the ticking of the old clock in my living space here. And so I can actually hear the sound of my breath breathing in and out. And then bring a gentle awareness, or you might, to the softness or the calmness of my voice. And then in a loving way, bring your awareness back to your breath. So our old friend, our breath. Wherever you are in your breath cycle, allow your breath to come back to its natural rhythm. Your natural rhythm. Maybe observing the rise and fall of your chest and your belly. Drop your chin towards your chest and gradually blink your eyes. So we're falling awake, not asleep. Falling awake, not asleep. And so notice if you felt a subtle shift in your energy. So we've begun the process of tuning into our bodies and connecting with our breath. And so if the only piece that you take away from the yoga classes that I share is tuning into your breath, the breath awareness practices, that would be the one that I think is probably the most beneficial in the yoga practice. And so moving on, arms by our sides, spiral your palms open, open up your armpits, and wiggly fidgets. So shake your hands vigorously, wiggly fidgets. And so we can take this opportunity to say good morning to our ancestors. So waving, reaching up to the sky. And then hinging from the hips, come forward a little. Reaching up, waving to our ancestors. So I had a woman in my class, I think she lived to be at least 102, if not 103. We were doing this practice and she said, I feel like my ancestors are waving back. And then just like you're shaking water off your hands, let your arms slow down by your side. Rest your hands on your thighs, palm up or down as desired. And take a moment to notice how you feel. Notice maybe where did your thoughts go? Okay. And so let's actually, at this time, walk our hips forward in the chair about 2/3 of the way. And so if you're needing the back of the chair, wanting the back of the chair for support, honor that. And so yoga meets us right where we are. And so let's repose. So sitting up nice and tall, push down through one foot and then down through the other. And so it might be an energetic pushing down. You notice, do you have more feeling in one foot than the other? Your sits bones are sharp on the chair. So you might do a little shift from side to side or a little bum dance. So I like this from you then, a little bum dance. And so really when we're seated in a chair or on the couch or wherever, our sits bones act like the feet of our toes. And then lengthen from the tip of your tailbone all the way up through the crown of your head. So you might imagine that you have a thread on top of your head and it's pulling you way up to the sky. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. Tuck your chin in slightly to release the back of your neck. And so you might even take 2 fingers, place them on your chin, so you imagine a turtle. And then when you're ready, we'll transition into a gentle warm-up for our neck and shoulders. So begin with simple neck rolls. Our yoga belly is soft, our breath is quiet. And then move in the other direction. And then moving back at center. And then a gentle movement up and down as if nodding yes. And so we can affirm, I am I can and I will. And then maybe just turning your head from side to side as if nodding no. Tip your ears from side to side just a few times. And bring your head back center. And so let's come into shoulder circles. So soft organic movement. So it's not a big shrug up towards your shoulders. It's actually counter-indicated for this practice. And then opposite direction. And then maybe exploring alternating from side to side. So it might be micro movements, visualizing the movement. And then when you're ready, palms face up, take your hands to your shoulders or wherever you can reach comfortably. And then stretch your palms. So feel the skin between your fingers. Take your hands to your shoulders, stretch your palms, and then maybe alternating from side to side. So the new advanced yoga is accessible yoga. Yoga for everybody. When you're ready, release your arms down by your side or wherever feels comfortable for you. Spiral your palms open. Open up your armpits. So get bigger in space. We tend to shrink. Bring your hands up, up, up to where it feels comfortable for you. So if having your arms up by your ears feels like it's too much, doesn't feel comfortable, maybe explore gold pose. Or it might be that you keep your arms supported by your armrests. And wherever your pose is today, I'd like to invite you to press into the palms of your hands. There's a sensitive point there. And together we can shout out, I am, I can, and I will. And so together we can, we are, we can, and we will. And with a sigh of relief, release your arms down by your side. So when we lengthen our exhale, it is calming for our nervous system. So rest your hands on your thighs, palm up or down as desired. Notice how's your breath. Notice any subtle sensations. And so I'd like to share a quote with you by Matthew Sanford, and I think I've quoted it verbatim. Matthew Sanford is a fellow I trained with in Minneapolis who happens to be spinal cord injured. I don't want to go on about his story, but he published a book, just a side note, that's absolutely amazing called Waking, if you're interested at all, sharing his story. Bestseller. But anyway, so I trained with him. I went to Minneapolis and trained, and he teaches yoga teachers how to teach yoga for people living with disabilities. And so this is a quote, something that really struck me. Oops, dropsy, one day that he shared. And so yogic breathing. So you breathe in a yoga pose for the spaces you can't feel. You don't just breathe for the bicep you can flex. You're trying to get life force to the spaces you can't feel. When you do, your balance increases, strength increases, and your flexibility increases. Matthew Sanford. And so Let's repose. Make sure your feet are placed evenly on the floor on your footrest. Sit bones are sharp on the chair. Lengthen from the tip of your tailbone all the way up through the crown of your head. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. And then as you're ready, reach your arm up. So I'm not going to cue left, right, in line with your shoulder. Turn your palm face up. And then gazing, or actually let's just extend our arm, not just. Extend your arm away from you. So it might be if you have a yoga buddy, they're helping guide the movements, holding onto your wrist, bicep maybe. Knee back at center, palm face down. And so we'll alternate from side to side, moving with your breath. Up, spiral your palm open. Extend your arm away from you. Knee back at center. Palm face down, release. And so if you'd like, we can explore adding neck movements to the breath work as well. And also adding a sound. So we all know that sound has a vibration. And I'm told that the sound shh can help with spasms. And so you choose. You might keep your head straight ahead or add the neck movements. So this is your yoga practice. And so our belly's soft, feet on the earth, sit bones sharp. And then as you're ready, on inhale, reach your arm up, spiral your palm open. On exhale, gazing past your middle finger, making the sound shh. Send your arm away from you. On inhale, we'll meet back at center. Palm face down. Release. Other side, reach your arm up. Spiral your palm open. Moving with grace and ease. On inhale, meet back at center. Palm face down. Release. So I'd like to invite you in your own time and rhythm to repeat this gentle movement one more time on each side. And of course, if you need to see me, I'm here. I'll be doing the movement as well. So finish up the movement that you're on. And release your arms down by your side. Rest your hands on your thighs, palm up or down as desired. And notice how this feels. How's your breath? It's our old friend, our breath. And so moving on, I'm actually feeling a little bit chilly. I turned the heat off. And so I'm going to put a sweater on. So make sure that you have what you need to feel comfortable. And so let's walk our bottom back in the chair a little bit. Walk your hips forward and then back. You pull the buttock flesh away from your sits bones. And then sitting up nice and tall, feet firmly planted on the earth, not in the air. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. Tuck your chin in slightly to release the back of your neck. And then from here, placing your hands on your thighs, an invitation to draw your hands in towards your hip creases. As you do, begin to turn your gaze up towards the sky, the ceiling. So it might be that your eyes meets where the wall meets the ceiling. And be careful not to throw your head back. So you'll know your head's back too far if it's difficult to swallow. And we'll stay here for a few breaths or as long as feels comfortable. And then when you're ready, we'll be back at center, so coming back to a neutral spine. And then we'll transition into a gentle warm-up for our upper back. So round your upper back, your shoulders. As you do, draw your chin in towards your chest. So on inhale, arch, sliding your shoulders away from your ears. On exhale, round your upper back, drawing your chin in towards your chest. And then come on back to a neutral spine. And so from here, I'd like to actually come into a movement called Finding Our Balance. And so if anything I share with you feels uncomfortable, if it hurts, in other words, if it exacerbates pain, skip it. So come back to your breath. And so if we're focused on our breath, we're practicing yoga. If you ever feel dizziness, nausea, particularly with the neck movements, come out of the pose of the movement, and maybe it's something that needs to get checked out. And so if you need to leave the space for any reason, of course, most of you are at home, well, all of you. And so, yeah, leave the space to take care of yourself. And so, let's continue. So I'd like to invite you with your hands in your hip creases. Bring your feet a little wider than outer hip bone distance if that's possible. And it's okay to have your toes turned out a little. And so if you can bring your knees so that they're in line with your ankles, that would be great. And then from here, hinging from the hips, an invitation to come forward a little. So rock forward. And then come on back up. And so it might be that we imagine the movement. So imagination is powerful. Visualize the movement. So there's actually research now that shows that, well, we've always known that imagination is powerful. And sometimes it can be even more powerful than the actual movement. And then slowly come on back to neutral spine. Release your arms down by your side. Rest your hands on your thighs. Palm up or down as desired. Maybe bring your feet back so they're about hip distance apart. So the distance that works for a lot of people is about 2 fist distance between our knees. And take a moment to notice how this feels. And then when you're ready, moving on, let's release our arms by our side. And then shift your weight from side to side. So the movements of the spine. Extend beyond your wrist, beyond your fingertips. Hi, Evie. So I have a little rabbit named Ebers, and he's quite active right now. So you might see him hopping around. So it can be interesting to close our eyes as we practice these movements. Evie saying, I want some attention. And then when you're ready, you bend your arms low in front of you. Find a space straight ahead of you that you can gaze on softly, and then gently twist from side to side. So looking straight ahead can help us focus our mind. Like to challenge yourself a little more, you could bend your elbows, fingers reach for the sky. We sometimes call this washing machine. And so I like to hear my breath sometimes when I'm moving. It helps you focus our mind, so that might be something you'd like to explore. So I'm going to inhale and exhale out of my nose. So I do the practice of movement. Slowly come out of the movement. Float your arms down. Shoulders back and down just a few times. And rest your hands on your thighs, palm up or down as desired. And take a rest. And so I'm just going to see if I can tilt my iPad forward a little more so you guys can hang out with EB2. So this is Ebers, for those of you who haven't met him yet. And he's my little guy. He came hopping into my life a few years back, my little rescue buddy. And so notice, where did your thoughts go? No judgment. Yoga meets us right where we are. And so I actually bought a watch. It's the first time I've been wearing a watch since the 70s. And so I want to keep us moving forward on time, make the most of our time together. And so just a gentle reminder, of course, that pets and children are welcome in the class or at home. And so let's actually let us come into a side bend. And so I'll teach a few variations of the side bend. And so I'd like to invite you to begin by taking hold of the side of your chair. And so release your opposite arm down by your side. Spiral your palm open. With a soft bend in your elbow, take your hand up to your shoulder, tip to the side. Might be that you feel okay reaching way up and over. Then turn your gaze down towards the floor to release your neck and breathe into your rib cage. So it might be that you're using your armrest if you're in a chair. As an armrest for stability. Can you imagine breathing in below your rib cage? Slowly come out of the pose on this side. Take a moment and then we'll come into the pose on the other side. So take a hold of the other side of your chair. Release your opposite arm by your side. Spiral your palm open. Open up. So if our palm is face up, we will always come to the right place for us. As you reach up, maybe taking your hand to your shoulder, maybe reaching way up and over. Side bend. So we're stretching from our armpit down along our rib cage, all the way down to our head. Keep those sit bones on the chair. And slowly come out of the pose on the side. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. Rest your hands on your thighs and take a moment to notice how's your breath. Notice any subtle sensations. And so trust that the sensations are there. So it might be a hum. It's not going to be a rocket ship. And then when you're ready from here, we'll come into actually a seated twist. And so for today's twist, I think I'd like to do something a little bit different. I'd like to invite you to bring your hands together at your heart center. Your feet are a little bit wider than outer hip bone distance. And then when you're ready, explore bringing your elbow point. So you can go to, I'll cue right this time. So bring your right elbow point down to your right near thigh. Turn your gaze up towards the sky. Lift your elbow. And then when you're ready, come on back center. And if you'd like, and it's available to you, bring your elbow, so other side, down to your thigh, knee. Lift your elbow, turn your gaze up towards the ceiling if it doesn't create tension in your neck. And then slowly come on back to neutral spine. Release your arms down by your side. Whew. And feel your work. So the yoga happens in those still moments between the poses and the movement. And so we'll practice one more pose before we transition into a guided, actually today's going to be a silent meditation, and then your final relaxation. And so find a comfortable seat, come back in your chair a little bit, maybe shift your weight from side to side. Again, if you can bring your feet a little wider than outer hip bone distance, go for it. And then taking hold of the sides of the chair for stability. So we're going to come into a forward fold. And to my knowledge, it's safe for most people to come forward 20%. That might be that today, if you know that forward folds are contraindicated, so I think you probably know who you are. Might be that you're lengthening your spine rather than coming forward. And so let's take hold of the sides of the chair for stability. Hinging from the hips, come forward. Tuck your chin in slightly to release the back of your neck. And then imagine that you're breathing into your lower back. Or it might be that my hands are in your lower back. So our hands are connected not only to our heart, but to our mind. Notice how you feel in the forward fold. So forward bends are calming for our nervous system if we come into them in a way that's appropriate for each of us. And slowly come out of the pose by pressing down through your inner heels. Place one hand on each of your thigh. Lift from your chest, climb up. And then come seated comfortably in preparation for a short meditation. And so if you happen to have a blanket that you can place on your thighs, a bolster, a little bit of weight can be grounding. I also heard recently from a yoga teacher, actually Matthew Sanford, I think, shared that he finds that having a bit of weight on our thighs, particularly if you sit a lot, can help with fatigue. And so don't take my word for anything, investigate, notice how you feel. And then an invitation to place your hands in a mudra if you'd like. So mudras are hand gestures that were created to help us focus our mind. And so I like these days, for some reason, diamond mudra, which is thought of as an earth mudra because it can be grounding. And so for this mudra, you place your hand, one hand in the palm of the other, thumbs connect. Or choosing whatever placement of your hands that you'd like. And then draw your hands in towards your hip creases. And so we could think of, if you'd like, that when our hands come together, think of it as connecting with your higher self or your higher power. And an invitation to look down and into your heart. And see what you can see. And then imagine that you're breathing into your heart. And so come into whatever position you'd like for your final relaxation. So get what you need to set yourself up comfortably. And so you might have an eye pillow, a blanket. You're more than welcome to put your legs up on a chair if that works for you. If you have the ability to recline, you might want to recline. And so close your eyes softly if that feels comfortable for you, or soften your gaze. And so an invitation to remove your glasses. Maybe if you have an elastic in your hair, you might want to remove said elastic. And so rest your palms face up or down as desired. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. And so we're not scrunching our shoulder blades together. And we are allowing our shoulders to soften away from our ears, to melt away from our ears. Those soft palms, the soft yoga belly, the area between our navel and our pubic bone. Quiet breath. Allow your breath to reflect the pose. Serenity pose. Relax your jaw. Unclench your teeth. And let there be a little space between your teeth. Soften your lower jaw. Soften around your temples. And soften the area between your eyebrows. Wide forehead. Silently, if you'd like, on inhale, say let. On exhale, go. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. If it's challenging to quiet the mind, sometimes placing our hands on our yoga belly can be helpful in bringing our awareness to our breath. And without changing anything, bring your awareness back to your breath. Thank your body. And thank your body again. And now see if you can begin to deepen your inhale, lengthen your exhale. Wiggle your fingers and toes, hands and feet waking up. Rub the tips of your fingers with your thumbs if you like. And then come on up seated to finish up your yoga practice. And so thank you, everyone. And thank you to the Disability Foundation, ConnecTra, and all the beautiful people who helped make this class possible. And so I feel very blessed that I get to share this amazing gift from India, yoga. And so I'm always happy to stay for a few moments after the class for questions and feedback. And I guess just an invitation to maybe notice how you feel after the class, and not just immediately after, but maybe for the next day or two. And I'd like to suggest that if you're not feeling anything at all, then maybe you didn't work hard enough. And if you're still feeling the practice after 2 days, maybe you worked a little bit too hard. And so I guess that's it. Can we take everyone off? I don't know if you can take yourself off mute or.
I'm off.
You're off. Awesome.
That was calming.
Lovely. Not an easy place to get to.
Mm-hmm.
So Sally, lovely to see you. Lynn, Josie.
Thanks, Bobbie.
Yeah. So my friend behind the scenes, apologize, can't remember your name at the moment. But, yeah, so as far as I know, I'll be teaching the ConnecTra class until the end of the year. And if there are any changes, I'll keep you posted. I don't anticipate that there will be. I also teach 2 classes during the week, and if you're both adaptive, one's restorative and the other is a little more, well, it's in the morning, so it's more with relaxing and energizing the mind for sure. And I have a website, and it's yogabilityinternational.com, which I will be updating today with the classes that I teach. So I'm starting to feel like a talking head and I'm promoting self, which I don't want to do. But so I'm just going to say, hey, let's actually maybe give yourself a hug. Oh, big bear hug. It's bear country, bear season on the coast here where I am. And so an I love me hug, and then reach out. Everybody else a hug. So to the community and globally. And then one more hug for ourselves. Cross the other arm overhead. And I love me. Yeah, because I love all of you. So